Coach Golden, congratulations on the men's basketball national championship. Go Gators. I'll hang up and listen. What a win by the Gators, man. National champions, the Natty, 65-63 over Houston in a game that they trailed, all but about 20 seconds of?
Yeah, they led at 8-6 early and then didn't lead again until the last, minute or two, whatever it was, when they finally took the lead.
Incredible. What a wild, wild game. And, give them tons of credit, not just for winning the championship, but coming back like they did in this Final Four. It's been remarkable. But Houston had the ball with 19 seconds left, trailing by a pair, and 3-point wins the game. Obviously, a 2-point ties it. They couldn't get a shot off. You had, essentially Emmanuel Sharp jump for like the game-winning attempt. He kind of pump faked, and then he saw Walter Clayton Jr. coming over, and he avoided the travel, but he had to let the ball bounce when he was in the air, and so now somebody else had to touch it, or it's going to be a violation. And basically, the ball was just sitting there. The Gators dove on it, and that was the end of the game. I thought that was a tough way to lose. Great win by Florida, great comeback, all of that. But man, you just, you don't want to see a situation where, in his good defense, where a guy doesn't even get a last shot off. It was a very loud Houston, laden crowd. Obviously, the game in San Antonio, so a lot of Houston fans were there, and they played great. The whole game was great. It was a defensive struggle. I mean, Houston, I believe I read, where they had the number one defense in college basketball. They're just so hard to score on. They're long, they're quick. And, Florida really struggled early on, especially, and, managed to chip away at it and somehow did just enough. And Clayton, Walter Clayton Jr., the third, he was off. He was off tonight, or, during the championship game. He had carried them, had more than 30 points in the semifinal. In this one, not so sharp, but he did pick it up near the end of the game. And, he scored all of his 11 points in the second half. He also had 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and, the defensive closeout as the game ended. So that was big. But, it was a great game. It was entertaining from start to finish. Very, very well played, I thought. Fairly well officiated. I don't think they really got in the way of anything. And, Todd Golden, man, what is he, 39 years old? One of the youngest coaches to ever win a national championship. That's pretty remarkable.
It is, and it just means the future is bright there. I mean,
yeah, hell yeah.
What he's done in the program he's built there, and and the one thing this year too is that they got better as the season went along.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
I mean, they were good at the beginning, but I mean, as the season went on, they just kept getting better and better and better. Like you saw the growth in that team. You saw the way they came together. And it's an impressive run in the tournament, and that was a great game tonight. I mean, those are two heavyweights in college basketball that played. They were
the two best teams, although Duke was very, very good.
I don't know if they were two best, but I mean, they were two of them for sure. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah.
The one thing, this tournament lacked a lot of Cinderella, and we talked about 12 of the 16 teams were top 4 seeds.
Yeah,
and only one outside the top 6 seed made the Sweet 16. Like, it lacks Cinderellas, but you had 4 good teams in the Final Four. I mean,
they were all number 1 seeds, right?
Yeah.
In the Final Four.
Yeah. And those 4 pretty much separated themselves throughout the year from the other teams. I mean, there was other good seeds. The 2s and the 3 seeds were good, and but those 4 were really among the best, and they showed it in the Final Four and all their runs to the Final Four, but. Definitely the Cinderella magic of this March Madness was gone, but you got good basketball by the end.
Yeah, it was just the ugly stepsisters. No Cinderella at this ball. They didn't invite her this time, but that's fine. In Florida, they were just a gritty bunch of players. Like, what I loved about the way they played is that they did not change their demeanor, whether they were ahead or behind. But if you look at their, tournament, they were trailing by 6 in the round of 32. They trailed by 10 in the Elite 8, 9 the other day in the national semifinal game against Auburn, and then 12 in the championship. I mean, that's a resilient team. That's a team that doesn't panic. Knows how to get back into the game. Those are the kind of leads that can really get away from you, especially on the biggest stage. And Todd Golden's group didn't do that, and it's a real credit to them. They were scrappy. They played great defense. They were unselfish, obviously, and they did just enough. I mean, just enough to survive. And Houston will put full court pressure on you all the time, and make it real tough for you defensively. As I said, one of the, if not the top defensive team in the country in Division One. But Florida handled all of it, man. And you're not known as a basketball state per se, but that program, certainly has a history with Joakim Noah and those guys, winning like they did back in the mid 2000s, I guess. And so, to get your third national basketball title as a school, that's pretty cool. And it's great for Golden, and he's got a long, prosperous future there, obviously, if he can do this at age 39. How many people now will want to come to Florida? That I think about, like, I'm watching the game and I'm going, man, there's some guy out there, because their best player used to play for Rick Pitino at Iona, Clayton Jr. And there's some guy out there going, I'm not really happy here, but boy, they look like they're having a lot of fun. Right. So I don't know how many spots they might have, or necessarily the age of the players or anything, but I got to believe winning the Natty not only looks good on a resume, but I'll bet it causes their phones to ring a little bit too. And the turnaround was quick. I mean, I knew they were good when the season started, and Golden was in a little hot water for some accusations and things that were going on off the court. So you didn't know how that was going to turn out. But, man, these guys blocked out every bit of noise, and they played together. And when they talk after the game, it reminded me the other night of UConn a little bit, because the first thing the players say is just how much they enjoy each other's company, how much they love each other. And you can tell it's genuine, right? And these teams that achieve this together, they're special. They're special. They do special things. They make sacrifices that other student athletes wouldn't make, or other athletes won't make. So it's cool to see. But yeah, University of Florida now, that's the University of Florida. Like, you saw them pack that O-Dome. There's more alumni, I think, from Florida than any other college in the state. So this is going to play well, and not for nothing, but they might be right back there again next year. I mean, if you can get through the gauntlet of the SEC, whoever comes out of that and plays in a round of 16 or gets to the round of 8 has a really good chance.
No question about it. I mean, the SEC this year was so far ahead of everybody else.
It really was.
Although most of those teams had a lot of 4- and 5-year players, so a lot of the teams are going to lose a lot in the SEC.
Yeah.
So how they replenish, and with NIL and transfer portal, you have that ability to replenish quickly.
We're still in that weird kind of like post-COVID, like, and that was the case in women's basketball too. Like, there were some players that are, grad students that got an exemption, during the COVID year.
Yeah, they still have their 6 year of eligibility.
So they have a 6 year of eligibility. And if some of them were hurt at some point during their careers, and so they got red shirt, or, whatever that is, they got an injury year out of it. And you've got older and older, at least in the women's game, players that are kind of staying in college before they come out to the WNBA. I don't blame them. It's a hell of a lot of fun in college. But yeah, and again, I don't know like who Florida is likely to lose, if anyone. But man, that's a good basketball team. That's a really solid, scrappy, defensive, unselfish basketball team that, with Clayton, who, even though he didn't score in the first half, which is unbelievable, he made up for it. And when they needed him down the stretch, he knew he had to take over at times, and he did it. So great win for the Gators. Great to be a Gator. And we'll see. It could be a while before another Florida program. Like, what would be the next Florida program you think that would have a chance to win a national title in basketball, men's or women's? Which one do you think Okay, it's USF. The correct answer is USF. I don't know. I really don't know.
They do have the coach from Arkansas State, so
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Hodgson.
yeah, Hodgson. He's a Red Wolf, and
Yeah. I mean, the hard part is with the transfer portal and NIL. You can turn a team around quickly.
You can.
You got to have the resources. You got to find the right coach, and then you got to have the resources to get the players there.
That's the hardest part.
And you got to find the right mix of players. I mean, that's the thing. You know, you talked about Florida, like they genuinely like each other, and
yeah, you can tell
they have that camaraderie. Like you have to find that right mix.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard, and I think that the NIL, the transfer portal, I think there'll be fewer teams, and I believe Gino Ariama said this the other day that all this money is going to probably do nothing but serve to push away parity, and that only the strong will survive. And he says, I think we saw that in the men's game this year. Yeah, 4 number 1 seeds, who can compete for players? The teams and the programs that have the most money. Yep. A lot of times, and or prestige or whatever that thing is. And so I think you're going to see a lot of the same. And he made the point too. He goes, look at college football. They're already there.
They've been there for years.
They've been there for a while. I mean, the SEC, the Big Ten, right?
Michigan,
Ohio, but specific programs. It's Ohio State.
It's Georgia.
Alabama.
It's Bama.
It's Georgia. Right. Clemson on the off years, although not so much lately.
They've kind of fallen off now. Since NIL and the transfer portal, which Dabo Swinney doesn't use.
Right.
He hasn't. Other teams will take advantage to fill some holes.
Oh yeah, they will.
The best teams aren't filling a team with the transfer portal, but they're filling holes.
Oh, sure they are. Yeah. It's a game changer. And I think, the whoever can pay the most money is going to get the best talent, and they're going to win. They're going to be the LA Dodgers or the New York Yankees, And if you're not on that side of it, oh well. You're not going to compete with them. But it's a Gators night. Hopefully they're safe. I don't know what they got planned. Probably a stogie. Maybe a libation here or there if they're of age. I don't know. But that's got to be fun, man, to go through a whole year and get to San Antonio and make it to the championship and finish the deal. That's the biggest thing, man. You got to finish. And it was dark and ugly and lonely, and the court was littered with sharp glass and all that stuff before they crawled out of it, man. They found a way to get enough stops and make some transition baskets. And like I said, when your best player doesn't score in the first half, that doesn't help you. But they did rally and they win, and the Gators are national champions. So good for them. I wonder if they could get a national championship watch at Breitling Boutique. See what I did there? Well, Breitling Boutique doesn't have the Gator watches, but you know what they do have are NFL watches, and their beautiful chronomat selection. They've got the NFL's 104th year anniversary watches as supplies last, as they say on the big show. But get on down there. It's a beautiful store, Middle International Plaza. You go upstairs. The customer service is second to none. They deal with an awful lot of celebrities and athletes. You probably see a Buccaneer or two when you're in there. And they not just have men's watches, they also have women's watches, sports watches. These things are durable. If your wife or girlfriend is on the go like mine, they're going to be banging around in these things, but these will hold up very nicely, and they have all kinds of different colored wristbands for you as well. It is Breitling Boutique. They're at International Plaza Mall, and they're waiting for you now. When you get there, tell them that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Lightning were in New York. They beat up on the Rangers, and now they get pulled even. I guess are they pulling closer to first place, or are they kind of staying where they're at?
Well, they're 2 points behind Toronto. Now, Toronto does have a game in hand. Toronto will play tonight in Sunrise against the Panthers.
Ooh, that's a big one.
And then they come to Amalie Arena Wednesday night to play the Lightning. So they have back-to-back games at Florida and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that swing is tough, and hopefully Florida can take something out of them before they get here in Tampa. But
the biggest thing is the Lightning would like home ice advantage in the first round. You'd like it for both rounds, but you'll take it for the first round. So Toronto and Florida are playing tonight. You do not want a 3-point game. One of those teams needs to win in regulation. If you're trying for first, preferably Florida, so that you'd be 2 points behind Toronto with the same number of games, and you're playing them the next night.
Oh yeah, that's what you want.
What you don't want to do is get one team gets 2 points and the other gets 1 because it's an overtime or shootout loss.
That's right. That's right.
But the Lightning's power play came alive. 3 power play goals against the Rangers.
That's huge. The fact that they won on the road, the fact that they were good on the power play, those are all huge signs.
They scored 3 goals in a minute 45 in the first period. They got off to a really slow start. They were being outshot 11-1 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And then they scored 3 goals in a minute 45, 2 of them on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game was busted. Andre Vasilevsky was fantastic. Andre Vasilevsky made 38 saves on 39 shots on Monday night. His save percentage for the season is now up to .923.
Sick.
Connor Hellebuck, who's supposed to be the runaway Vezina Trophy winner.
How'd he do?
His save percentage is .924.
Oh, pretty good.
I'm sorry, runaway Vezina winner?
It's not a runaway, that's for sure.
It definitely shouldn't be. I mean,
he just gave up a bunch in the loss to the Lightning.
Yeah, Hellebuck, he has more wins, and I think his goals against is just a little bit better too. But it's not a runaway. But we'll see. I mean, I think Hellebuck will end up winning it, but Andre Vasilevsky's having a fantastic season.
Well, he's about to show everybody what a fantastic year he is and what a fantastic goaltender he is, because the postseason is when he shines. He can absolutely steal games from people. I will never, ever forget the 5 overtime game that he played and won.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I won't forget it because I was on this couch that I'm sitting at right now for about 8 hours, it seemed.
I was at Amalie Arena for 8 hours.
That's terrible, man.
And we had no food.
No food, no drink, right? So yeah,
it was Dave Mishkin, Phil Esposito, Jay Young in our AV department, and me.
Big COVID year, right?
Yeah, it was the 3:00 start. Because that was the bubble, so they're playing 3 games a day up in Toronto and Edmonton.
That's right.
And so there was a game earlier, then it was a 3:00 start. So like, yeah, we'll get out of here, 7:00, dinner, no problem.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, that game didn't end until after 9. The later game, the evening game, they had to push to the next day.
Right.
Once they got to like the third overtime, they're like, yeah, you're not playing till tomorrow now.
Yeah. You never know. Like, this gets me on a little tangent. So I did the women's Final Four, and the NCAA kind of takes over the arena. Like, this is not criticism towards anybody at the Tampa Sports Commission or whoever else is involved. And I've had this happen to me a couple times where in Super Bowls, no less. So you do the whole tournament, right? And they got this one room area designated for the media workroom. Actually, there were 2. There was one on the second floor where you walk in, from the terrace area.
Yep.
And because the first floor is obviously the playing surface. And there was one on the 4th floor. And there was a workroom up there. The food was on the 4th floor. If I was smart, I would have moved to the 4th floor. I did not. I was on the 2nd floor. And, the tournament's over. And so I'm like writing a sidebar on Sarah Strong. And all of a sudden, man, I'm at this bench. It's got the power cords and everything like that. And they've erected sort of temporary walls and different things.
Yep.
These guys just doing their jobs, I'm sure, because, it is a hockey arena after all. They got to get the stuff out of there. They're breaking down the media room while the media is still very much using the media room. And it's like cords are going whoosh, 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 by me. Like, wait a minute, man. I might need that power here in a minute. And partitions are being ripped down. It was like noisy, and they were getting closer. And I thought,
once the nets are cut down, tear it down.
It's over, man. It's over. My best example of that was, or worst as the case may be, I did a Super Bowl in Miami one time, and I guess it must have been who would have played Atlanta and maybe Denver or something like that. Anyway, I was down there, and I was with my late colleague Don Banks, who also wrote for the Tampa Bay Times, and we were there together to cover the Super Bowl. And so we had kind of an auxiliary press box. We were out in the stands. They build these essentially, for lack of a better term, like desks or seats for the media. I thought I was going to end up watching the national championship final on Sunday and one at the top of the stadium. I mean, the very top, right? If you can go to the highest point, they've built in, very snugly an auxiliary press box.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't see anybody. I mean, this is basketball, right? So you like, who's that little dot? I can't read numbers. And I thought we had just 3 seats, and 2 of them were up there. So Joey Knight was going to stay on the floor. Then I came to find out that no. There's a really good seat, and it's just on the other side of the bench, and it's near the top of the key. So I was like, you're by yourself. But we're at the Super Bowl, Miami, and the game's over. And those Super Bowls are really tough to follow the post game because you have so many players and these little podiums and big crowds and all this stuff, and you're pushing up and all that kind of nonsense. But come back upstairs after the presentations in the locker room and stuff, and we're in the auxiliary box and they're taking the power, and I'm like, I can't file, like I don't have any battery. It's after midnight, and I have to have a plug and electricity, and they're just like unapologetically just taking stuff. And I was just like, I lost my cool. And Don laughed about it for years, but it's like, you know, you can't take these. Right? We're still working. This is ridiculous. We got to have power. And so the power cords were there, and yet the power was off because they disconnected it at some point somewhere.
Yep.
So I'm screaming only a Florida Power term that my dad worked for a utility company for so young. I was like, make it hot, make it hot. He's just dying over there laughing at me. It's like, make it hot. He goes, what does that mean? I go, well, there's no electricity in this thing. We have the cords, but we don't have any electricity, man. They've disconnected us. Like, what the hell? My battery's flashing like it's going to go off. I'm on deadline. It's a horrible Super Bowl that I got to see, and I just wanted power. But I've been to many. Another one like that was the Hall of Fame. Was it the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Yeah, Pro Football Hall of Fame. We were at, I don't think it was Radio City Music Hall. Could have been. I haven't been there since 2010, just Gerald McCoy's year. But same kind of thing, or maybe it was Hall of Fame. Is one of those where I'm in the back room and we do our interviews and it's on deadline, and all of a sudden they go, okay, everybody's got to go now at 9:00. And it's like 5 to 9. I'm like, I haven't written half my story. I go, what do you mean got to go? We're closing up shop. I'm like, why would you invite the media in here? Again, here I go with the whiny voice. But why would you invite the media in here, like, and then tell them to leave an hour after the event? Like, there's no way that you can do the interviews and all that stuff. Just don't invite me. Let me know the ground rules are. But there's nothing more annoying than to be like, in the middle of thought and have your computer out and all that, and some guy comes by and says you got to leave. It's like, why'd you invite me, man? I don't want to leave.
I've had to work some, so I do some work for the Rays as well.
You do?
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they'll do some watch parties occasionally. They'll have the radio.
Yeah, they will.
Watch party. So Neil Solondz at the time, now it's Chris Adams Wall, but would be out, wherever doing his pregame show, postgame show, etc. So
Hooters, 4th Avenue.
Yeah,
Grill,
sometimes
whatever.
Hooters. Those locations make sense. Sometimes they put you at places you're like, why are we here? And you're at a place that
Ace Hardware.
So the game starts at like 7.
Okay.
And normally this place by 9:00 turns into a club, basically.
And so that's what the sponsors want. It's slamming.
Well, the DJ shows up, and first of all, you're doing a watch party, so the DJ's now sitting around. So as soon as that game ends, the bar goes from watching the Rays game to. Meanwhile, Neil's got a 45-minute post-game show to do.
Oh my God. Good soundtrack for that.
That's
right?
happened several times where you're sitting there trying to figure out how am I going to make this work where people can hear Neil while the club is going on in the background.
That's classic.
It's like as soon as that DJ's been waiting to go on, and so as soon as that game ends, man, they turn those speakers on, boom, go.
Yeah. Speaking of concerts, I've done a couple events. This is random, actually. I was in Atlanta one time after the Falcons game, and for whatever reason, after the game, everybody's kind of stayed. I'm like, what we got going on? Is it a concert? Yeah, it must be an act. Oh, okay. James Brown. I kid you not. He comes walking out there. Get James Brown after a Bucks game at the Georgia Dome. I feel good. Ow. Do, 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 do. And I knew that he would. But yeah, James Brown. It was crazy. So I can't concentrate. But no, I don't want to. I want to watch James Brown. I don't
Yeah,
want to
I was
write my
gonna
story.
say.
It's a 1:00 game. What do I care? You know? The other one was I made national news on this one. So I was pinch hitting for Tompkin one time at the Trop. Remember they had this Saturday concert series? I don't know if they
Yeah.
still do that, but they had it. It was very popular for years and years because there's a way to
Mhm.
get more people to come to the games. And so they'd have some, some decent acts. It wasn't all,
Yeah.
A-listers, but they had some decent acts. And so I just happened to be there. But the difficulty was if you stayed in the press box at Tropicana during the concert series, you had a lot of trouble hearing yourself think, right?
Mhm.
Because it's a
Yes.
concert and there's noise and crowds and all that stuff, and you're distracted. So we would go, or I would go back in the cafeteria, which is behind the press box at Tropicana, and kind of like, a way to get away from the noise. Um, and so that's kind of what I planned to do. But while I was out there, still kind of packing up or typing or whatever, um, the acoustics were kind of bad. I noticed, like I couldn't hear her very well, and so the crowd was getting a little restless. And April Levine goes, "What do you want from me? It's a bleeping baseball stadium." She dropped the big, the big fire word. And I just went, "Oh, that's not good with family fun day with the kids running the bases and everybody on the field." Okay. I'll have to get a comment from the Rays. What are they going to say about this? So I think Rick Vaughn was a PR guy or something. He's like, "Yeah, we heard it. Okay, just give me a few minutes." So I threw up there that she said a dirty word and put it online or whatever. I'm telling you, to this day, I'm not sure I've written anything that got more reposts or more hits than her dropping an F bomb at a concert before the Rays game or after the Rays game. It was insane. It really was. It was like Joey Knight in the drunk Tom Brady photo with Ryan Griffin holding him up. I mean, it was that insane. So
More
yeah.
hits than Tom Brady practicing at Berkeley Prep.
Well, let's not get carried away. That was Sasquatch we found out there. That was the Loch Ness monster. I mean, I was up at 6 a.m. waiting for the. By the way, I'm not a sleuth or a detective or anything, but I will say if you get a tip that there's a practice and it's an NFL team, and right before said practice, you see a lot of really expensive cars whiz by, you're in the right place. You're in the right place because somehow school was out because it was COVID. And it is Berkeley, which is plenty of private school donors that have nice automobiles. But it was kind of bizarre because like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like, wait a minute, where are these cars? These are really nice cars. I'll bet there's some Buccaneers involved here. And sure enough, it was Tom Brady and his crew. And yes, I did get the first pictures. No matter what the helicopter and Kevin O'Donnell says, we were able to land that baby. In fact, I got the text messages from the GM that was a little upset about it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And then 3 weeks later, on a national radio show. So how'd you find about this? Well, I got a tip. A tip. It was in the newspaper.
Well, yeah, that's his deal. I don't answer to that. I got a tip too. It turned out to be correct. I literally, when I went out there, I did not know. I mean, obviously it's a high school, but then when you see the setup and you go, wait a minute, there's no one that can watch this field. Like you have to be on the compound to actually kind of see it very well, because there's nothing but woods and stuff behind it. It's a beautiful football field, but it's like, wait a minute. So I had some performance enhancing help that day. Turned out the tip was correct. They didn't know. There's like one of those things like a covert operation is like, we think Osama bin Laden is there. What do you mean you think? Well, tall guy, you know. So it's like, yeah, we think it's Brady. Go check it out. And of course, he's wearing a helmet, which, middle of July or beginning of July, whatever it was, first trip to Tampa Bay, just go out there and put the helmet on and start throwing it around. But good times, man. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but I love it.
We do. I mean, somehow we're talking about the Lightning, and then we get to Tom Brady. I mean,
that was it. It's gorgeous. Yeah. TB, Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Lightning. I get it. All right.
speaking about a GOAT,
yeah.
Nikita Kucherov.
Oh,
When you start, so he had 80 assists tonight. He's up to 81 now. When you start going to lists like, he's only the fourth player to ever have 3 consecutive 80 assist seasons.
the fourth?
Yeah, he's the fourth one.
I imagine the top 3 are all names we know.
He's tied with Paul Coffey and Bobby Orr.
Okay.
Tied with. So there's only one that's done it more.
One that's done more.
Which was Gretzky.
Right.
Like those are the company Nikita Kucherov's in.
That's sick, man. Sick.
Yeah, he's now tied for the lead in scoring in the NHL at 115 points. He's tied with Nathan McKinnon.
Ask the question again. Can he be the MVP if when does the voting? When do the polls close?
It'll close after the regular season.
Okay.
And he's tied with Nathan McKinnon now. He's got one extra game to play.
So Colorado's very definitely in the mix for this.
He should be.
Should be, yeah.
And you can't this year. You can't go, well, it's Nathan McKinnon's turn.
No, he has.
What happened last year because he won it last year. So
could be a Russian bias, perhaps, but I don't know. I'm not saying
it might help if the Lightning win their division. That could help.
That would elevate them, sure.
So
they're still going to be great TV, man. It's going to be great TV. I know that.
And Yanni Gord got his first goal as a Lightning.
Yanni did, yeah, I saw that. That's cool. So the Rays are back in town. They're going to hold the beginning of a 13-game homestand. They're hosting the Angels.
13 games.
That's a long time, dude. Now, what do you have to be? Now, seriously, so they're coming back off the road, or they're 4-6, 4-5, something like that?
4-5. They've lost 4 in a row.
All right, so at 4-5, to get a big losing streak. Now, you got 13 at home. To give yourself a chance at first place, I'm going to say you have to win 10. You have to go about 10-3, 11-2 to pull that off.
So 10-3, you think? Ooh,
yeah. You think less?
I
don't know what the standings are.
I'm saying 10-3 is tough.
Yeah. Well, I think it's impossible. Really. I mean, I don't think they'll do it.
Well, if they keep hitting the way they're hitting, it is. But
it's true. When have we heard this before?
This homestand, you've got the Angels. Mm-hmm. You get the Braves.
Not good. Good.
Then you get Boston and New York.
No, those are tough teams that you're going to have to battle all year. So, not overwhelmed by it by any means.
Yeah, I mean this is the problem with the schedule the way it is, with so many home games early.
Yeah.
I mean, so they've played 3 road games.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what.
And they're going to play 13 now. So 19 of the first 22 is at home.
I mean, that's such an advantage, but the disadvantage is coming on the other end. So you have to get some separation. You got to get some house money here. Yep. Whatever that means, it's got to look well over 500 before you barrel back onto the road, because then you're just trying to hang on to what you got. That's a good song title right there. They're right Bon Jovi about that one. But I actually might go to my first Rays game on Friday. There's a chance. Wife is scheduled for surgery on Wednesday. We'll see. Jason Light speaks on Thursday. We'll see if I'm allowed out of the house on Friday. And if I am, might be my first official act. Have you been? Have you been out there? Is a press box smaller, bigger, same?
Oh, it's a lot smaller. A lot smaller.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I mean, I've been there for spring training before.
That's what I meant.
And then I've worked some games this year.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're a little. It's a tighter group then.
Yes, much tighter.
Okay.
Everything's much tighter there. It's a minor league spring training park.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if they'll let me write shorter stories because of that. What do you think? Probably not.
That's usually not the way that works.
I should try. It's like, look, what do you want from me? In the minor league, it's a minor league stadium. I gave you a minor league story. They need to get well. They need to start hitting the baseball at some point, driving in runs, getting big hits, key hits. They need some of their better players to start playing better. Josh Lowe's on a pretty good pace so far. Or, I'm sorry, Brandon Lau, not Josh Lowe. Brandon Lau.
Josh Lowe got hurt the first game.
He's not on a good pace. Brandon Lau's on a good pace. Josh Lowe needs to get back in the lineup, and that's going to be a while. But Yeah, Brandon's hit some big flies. I think this park's going to be good to him. I think if he stays, it's always with him. If he stays healthy, um, he's got a chance to put another 30, 40 home runs up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's streaky too.
Very streaky.
When he gets on a hot streak,
he
can carry you.
He definitely can. And
he should with this park. He should get on more hot streaks than not.
Oh, sure. And the ball's going to travel, and I guess we got some cooler weather coming in. It's going to be a nice weekend. If you're thinking about going out to Steinbrenner, it might be a little windy again as this thing works its way through, but it should be great weather for baseball. Just great weather. I can't wait to go out there and see it. It's going to be fun. Go see our friends, as always, at Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Check out the NFL Watches, the 104th year anniversary. All 32 teams while supplies last. They're in the center of the mall upstairs. You're going to love the customer service. You're going to love the store. And you're going to love either men's or women's watches at Breitling Boutique. Make sure you let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.